Hey there. So today I want to cover a story that is connected to a story that I told you before, but I saved this bit because it was its own distinct sub-story. So in the card up there will be the link to that time that I became a NATO registered developer. And there was something that happened off the back of this, and it was one of those things where, you know, like today there are people that still believe the earth is flat, and you know they'll try to see if there's a way to sue you if you try to claim that they're wrong or they're idiots or whatever. You know, like it's just the way we are these days. You know, there's a lot of litigious people out there that are undereducated, and you know they think that you're selling snake oil. So long story short, this is connected to that whole thing that I did before with the weather. Just to quickly recap over the story, I had a app where it was basically timing thunder and lightning, and I worked out if I used GPS and a compass and stuff, I could do extra stuff. So I added a feature to this app. So the way that I did this was, you take your phone and the instruction says point it into the wind somehow, and wherever you happen to point it, I would then tell you where the high or low pressure was in the weather system that you happen to be standing in, whether it's on this side or this side. And there were a lot of people that were just like, no, this is impossible. How can you know this? How does this work? And it was pretty simple, but the answer was Buys Ballots Law. And the idea of this, and sailors will know with this, in the northern hemisphere with the wind at your back, then the low pressure is on your left-hand side. Which means if I ask you to point your phone into the wind, then the high pressure is going to be on the right-hand side because we're now facing the wind, not with the wind at our back. Conversely, if you're in the southern hemisphere, then things are going to be reversed because of the way that rotation happens. Depending on which hemisphere you're in, weather systems happen to work in a predictable way, but they're opposites on the north and southern hemisphere. So there were people that they were like, okay, this has to be fake. There is no way that you can possibly do this. We're going to sue this guy for misrepresentation, blah, 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 blah. And so long story short, once they got into it and they actually learned how weather systems work, they looked very, very foolish and realized they'd spent a lot of money trying to sue me for something that was, it had been known for hundreds of years. This is how it works. So that was the sub-story I wanted to tell you today. There's actually a dovetail off the back of this because, as some people know, I now work with near-infrared spectroscopy. And this is a similar thing where there are a lot of people that for some reason, rather than go, well, I've never heard of near-infrared spectroscopy, I might go and learn how it works. Instead, they're like, oh no, that's magic. That can't be working. That's magic. It's snake oil. It's hokey. And so when you try to explain to people this stuff's been around for over 150 years and, originally it involved like optics and Bunsen burners and stuff like this. I mean, people don't seem to understand it. They see something digital now and they're like, oh yeah, no, this has to be magic. It's got to be fake. And it's funny because it reminds me of what happened before, where it's like, everybody that's ever studied weather knows that weather systems work in a particular direction depending on which of the two hemispheres you're in. And it's not snake oil, it's common knowledge if you're in that industry. In the same way now I work in spectroscopy, and there are certain things that are common knowledge if you're in that industry, but if you come from outside it, yes, it's going to look like magic. So anyway, that's what I wanted to cover today. Hope you found that one interesting, and speak to you soon. Bye.